We are starting to see specific crypto companies being handpicked to build out the future of the US financial system. And in my opinion, yes, Trump has handpicked multiple companies, Ripple being one of them. And we are going to talk about this. By the end of this video, you are going to know everything you need to know regarding this statement. And hey, you can come to your own conclusion on if this is true or not. But in my opinion, watching everything align perfectly since roughly the beginning of 2025 for Ripple kind of confirms that, yes, I do believe that Ripple is handpicked for the job. Now, it's not just Ripple. There's multiple other companies tied to it. But when we look at this post here from the Blockchain Association, we have Blockchain Association is honored to participate in today's US-UK Transatlantic Task Force for Markets of the Future at the US Treasury, alongside Blockchain Association members Jump, Notabene, and also Ripple. Now we have down here that their EVP of Legal and Government Relations is joining policymakers and industry leaders to advance cross-border cooperation on digital asset innovation and financial markets modernization. Again, this is literally at the US Treasury with players like Ripple, all centered around modernization of our cross-border markets. We are pleased to contribute to the perspective of the U.S. digital asset industry as policymakers work to strengthen transatlantic collaboration and support responsible innovation. Now, this is not new news. Like, although, yes, this meeting, this, event, this definitely is new. We have over here as well. Great conversations are happening across the Atlantic. We are honored to be part of them. TDC's head of policy and government affairs participated in the US-UK Transatlantic Task Force for Markets of the Future, alongside leaders from both sides of the Atlantic, including our members Ripple, BNP Paribas, and also Jump Trading. Thank you to the US Treasury, the FCA, and also the HM Treasury for engaging directly with industry. This level of coordination is essential to building interoperable frameworks for digital assets, tokenization, and next-gen financial markets. As the only trade association convening digital asset innovators across both the US and the UK, the TDC is proud to help bridge policy and innovation. The future of finance will be built together, and it's happening now through the TTMF, and that's the Transatlantic Task Force for Markets of the Future. Now, like I said, this is not new news. This group is not new. In fact, let's think about Ripple, okay? Back in the beginning of January, Ripple got granted their EMI license from the FCA. Now, this is not an easy license to get. In fact, almost 90% of companies that apply for this license get denied. Ripple got approved. Now, they also got approved in the EU as well, but the main thing that we're looking at here is the UK. Why is this interesting? Why am I talking about the US-UK Transatlantic Task Force? Why am I saying that Ripple was handpicked? Well, let's look into a few things. Let's go back to September of last year. Casey Craddock said, to coincide with President Trump's state visit to the UK last week, I had the honor of attending a roundtable in Downing Street alongside the UK Chancellor Rachel Reeves, US Secretary of the Treasury Scott Bessent, as well as representatives from a number of leading UK and US financial and crypto firms. That's right. Ripple's own Casey Craddock was in the middle of a roundtable with players from the UK system, with the US Secretary of the Treasury, all regarding the huge opportunity there is for cooperation between the US and the UK on what exactly? Digital assets. A partnership which has the potential to set a template for international cooperation in our industry. As a US headquartered company with a major presence in the UK, Ripple is well placed to leverage its strong transatlantic footprint to further drive US-UK tech innovation and collaboration by supporting blockchain adoption in the UK. Absolutely insane. Now, to build on top of this, Casey also made another post on the 26th regarding this, saying earlier this week I posted about the Downing Street roundtable during President Trump's state visit to the UK that I attended, alongside representatives from the UK and the US governments and financial and crypto industries. This meeting was the precursor to the announcement of the UK-US Transatlantic Task Force for Markets of the Future, an important initiative which will build on the deep and enduring partnership between the UK and the US in financial services. The new task force will lead to closer cooperation between the US and also the UK on digital assets, creating an opportunity to align on stablecoins, tokenization, and cross-border market access, as well as setting a template for international cooperation in our industry. Now, does this exactly confirm that, Ripple was handpicked? Not exactly. But I will say what's very interesting about this is that we have a Ripple employee here sitting at a table with President Trump, the U.S. Secretary of Treasury, major market participants around the UK and the US, and it's all regarding the new financial system. And now we have another meeting at the US Treasury, and Ripple's there, of course. Now, to build on top of this, what exactly is this task force? Like, what exactly are they doing? Well, here we have the announcement 5 months ago. So this is to enhance collaboration on capital markets, digital assets, and other innovative financial activities. The US-UK relationship has long been a cornerstone of global progress, and today it stands at a pivotal moment. With the announcement of the Transatlantic Task Force for Markets of the Future, the two nations are poised to lead the world in transforming financial systems for the 21st century. Tokenization is central to unlocking new opportunities for liquidity, innovation, and financial inclusion. Together, the US and the UK can drive meaningful progress in modernizing financial systems and creating a more inclusive global economy. Ripple is one of the core players here, utilizing a blockchain that's included in this task force. Ripple made a post on their website regarding this task force. Now, right off the rip, we are met with a link to really kind of just describe exactly what this task force is doing. So we have over here boosting collaboration between the UK and the US financial systems to drive innovation and growth in global markets. This is basically bridging both of these financial systems, but in a digital way. The purpose of this task force, there's only two things here. Number one, options for short to medium term collaboration on digital assets whilst legislation and regulatory regimes are still developing, as well as options for long-term collaboration and additional opportunities for wholesale digital markets innovation. Number two, options to improve links between our capital markets to enhance the growth and competitiveness of both UK and US markets, focusing on reducing burdens for UK and US firms raising capital cross-border. Pretty interesting. Now, to build on top of this, let's go back to this post from Ripple. If we scroll down, okay, it obviously breaks everything down here. The main thing that we're looking at here is the fact that blockchain is the key of this task force. Blockchain technology is inherently global and by its nature transcends borders. There's a huge opportunity for closer cooperation between the US and the UK on digital assets. The new Transatlantic Task Force represents the first such agreement in our industry globally and has the potential to set a template for international crypto cooperation. According to the BIS, 91% of central banks surveyed are now exploring digital currencies or stablecoins, underscoring the urgency of cross-border regulatory frameworks that avoid fragmentation. That's exactly what this is about. Eliminating fragmentation. Having that interoperable system built in place. Now, if we scroll all the way down here, these are the areas that Ripple feels would be helpful to consider in this task force. Stablecoins for cross-border settlement, eligibility of tokenized collateral, cross-border equivalence for intermediaries, and proportionate and coordinated roles for industry participants. Again, Ripple is at the table. They have a seat at the table. They are a key player here. This is wild to me. We have down here, as a US headquartered company and a major presence in the UK, Ripple is well placed to further drive US UK tech innovation and collaboration. Ripple is one of the largest and most influential players in the global blockchain and digital assets industry and is deeply invested in the UK. We opened our London office in 2016, and this remains our largest hub outside of the US headquarters, with over 120 full-time employees and continued year-on-year growth. Again, Ripple is contributing to these efforts regarding the full economic potential of blockchain technology in both the UK and the US. Ripple is much bigger than you think. They have a seat at the table. And we have over here, big shout to Subjective Views for this, new executive director of the President's Council of Advisors on Digital Assets, echoing Brad Garlinghouse's signals strong alignment between Ripple and White House priorities. This isn't coincidental. It's a sign of close coordination. Check this out.
My job is to get a bill to the president's desk. Now, that is not a bill at any cost, but understanding that the democratic process works in a way that there's going to have to be compromises, and on all issues, individuals are going to have to give. And depending on their perspective, it might not be perfect, but let's not let perfect be the enemy of the good here. There's a lot of great aspects to this bill. So I think we're closer to being able to get a result done than we ever have been on this particular issue. We're also closer to getting this bill done. My job.
So yeah, I mean, listen, this is pretty much the same exact words that Brad Garlinghouse pretty much said regarding this bill. But the main thing that I'm looking at here is just the overall coordination that Ripple and this current admin are really kind of working with, right? Like, they are coordinating on almost every single step regarding digital asset innovation, regulation, adoption, utilization. We have here the full on pretty much words that you just heard from Patrick J. Witt. Because Brad is at the table. These players are at the table. Ripple is a key player here. The thing about the UK pushing forward on, crypto adoption and regulation, it goes back to Ripple making that statement back in April of last year regarding the UK Policy Summit and how the UK is at a critical juncture for its digital asset industry, with long-awaited rules for crypto assets and stablecoins expected to be published in the coming months. With this in mind, Ripple convened a UK Policy Summit earlier this month with industry partners to discuss how the UK can remain internationally competitive in this fast-growing sector. It almost feels as if Ripple pressured the UK to get the ball rolling here around crypto. Because from this point, the FCA said, all right, let's greenlight stablecoins going into 2026. We now have the UK-US Transatlantic Task Force. Like, I don't know if Ripple is calling the shots here, but it seems as though every single thing that Ripple does, a couple months later, we start to see a big update regarding it. This is why I think that Ripple is much bigger than what most people are really kind of assuming. But I also think that Ripple was handpicked here. I think Ripple was secretly handpicked to build this system even before Trump. I also think that that's why we got the SEC lawsuit. I think that there's a lot of things that, we could speculate regarding, Ripple and even XRP, but it feels as though this was always planned. But then when you look at the US Treasury's website regarding this, UK and US financial task force, we have here boosting collaboration between UK and US financial systems to drive innovation and growth in global markets. The key here is exactly what I mentioned, right? Like, these are the same two things that, you have over here on the UK government's website. But it's wild because this is all regarding a new financial system. Like, this is all based around a digital financial system. So if we're really looking at this from a zoomed out point of view, Ripple is at the table here. Coinbase is there as well, but not as deep as Ripple, especially regarding this new update. Like, this is a new meeting essentially at the US Treasury where there's only a few names and Ripple's the only one utilizing a public blockchain here. I find this so interesting. I find it crazy that people can't really see the big picture here. Ripple is much bigger than we think. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video.